Hello guys, so I'm introducing my first series on this channel, and I did this during one of my classes because I was bored. I made a ranking system for the capture the flag maps. So this basically, it's a 100-point scale. It has 10 different categories ranging from 5 points to 20 points, and it'll rank the maps based on basically every aspect that I think is most important in the map. So I'm going to go over the categories, and then there will be an individual video around each of the maps in which I'll go into detail on why I gave my rankings. Anyways, so the first category is worth 20 points, and it is the balance between short games and long games. So should be, in my opinion, there should be a decent balance between games that end within the first rush, games that last within like the last 5 minutes, so either over 10 minutes or make it to all the way to 15, and then a good number of medium range games. I like games that last like 7-8 minutes. I think those are really good, and so if a map has a lot of those, that'll get a high score. And anyways, the second category, also out of 20 points, is the balance of sword and bow combat, or melee and bow combat. So in my opinion, I think if the combat's not overpowered by bow, it deserves a higher score on this, because I mean, the simple fact is the bow is a lot stronger weapon than the sword. It's ranged, it does more damage. Like it's just a fact. But if the map itself kind of makes bow a little bit harder to use, or gives someone who's better with a sword, like me for example, more ability to kind of get closer to your opponent or whatever, I think it deserves a higher score, because it kind of allows for both weapons to be equally valuable. So if a map isn't heavily dominated by bows, it will get a higher score in this category. The third category is juke points. So this is specifically for a capper, and this is kind of using the map to measure your skill as a capper versus kind of just the luck of the situation, and kind of if there happens to be the other team around. So if it's a map that really requires skill, like no matter what, you're gonna run into defenders, and you have to like kind of be smart about it and make tight jukes and everything, and there's a lot of spots to do that, then the map will score a higher mark. But if the map is really just dependent on if there's going to be another team there, and there's really nowhere where you can perform jukes on, then it's going to be a lower score. The next one is team play. This is also out of 10 points, which I may have forgotten to mention for juke points. That's also out of 10 points. Anyways, so team play, it's pretty obvious. It kind of forces the team to work as a team rather than just kind of individually either trying to get kills or capping. And it forces the team to support the capper or just kind of work together to perform a rush or whatever. It's pretty self-explanatory. The next is kind of the counterpart to juke points, is camping spots. And are there a lot of places on the map where you can sit and see the entire map, poise yourself to get kills, or be able to recover the flag from really anywhere? If there's a lot of those spots, there will be a higher score, and if there aren't any, then lower score. The next category, also out of 10 points, is the smoothness of rushing on the map. So if you don't really have to like stop sprinting, or if there's no like tricky stairs or tricky turns or anything, this is going to give you a high score. Now, the reason for this is just because it's a little bit less fair for the capper if they have to like make a bunch of really tight turns with defenders on their tails. It should be kind of more about kind of maneuvering in a way that you don't have to really risk tripping as much, and it's more about escaping than like kind of like basically not messing up. And so if it's a smooth map where you don't have to like make ridiculous turns naturally, and you can kind of do them on your own accord, this will get a higher score. And if it's like a map with a lot of choke points, and you're constantly running into blocks and everything unavoidably, then it's going to get a lower score. The next is out of 5 points, and it's the balancing of getting to the flag and escaping with the flag. So if it's kind of a similar difficulty to get there and get out with the flag, then you'll get a higher score in this category. If it's pretty much way easier to get to the flag or way easier to escape with it or something like that, then you'll get a lower score. The next category is popularity. It's also out of 5 points, so how often the map is played. And I feel like this is an important category just because it shows the consensus of the general player base of how they feel about the maps, subjectively, their opinion on the maps, and that does play a role. And so if the map is played on really frequently, it will get a higher score, or even voted a lot, even if it isn't played frequently as another map, then it'll get a higher score. And if it's not played very often, then it won't. The next, second to last category out of 5 points is the number of flag routes. So if it's a really predictable map and you know exactly where the flag is going to be once they grab it, then you're going to get a lower score because it's not as fresh. There isn't as much like questioning. The recoverers don't have to work as hard, and it's more repetitive and not as fun. But if there's a lot of ways for the flag to escape, there will be much higher score on this. And the last category, which is really, really only pertinent to newer players, but it's still important because the capture the flag kind of relies on the new player base, is how necessary is strong feet perk. So if you were going to take a lot of fall damage just from getting from spawn to mid or from flag to mid or something like that you're going to get a lower score. If you have to go way out of your way or take a really dangerous route just to avoid taking fall damage, that's going to be a lower score. But if it's kind of noob friendly and you don't have to take crazy like half your health of fall damage every time you grab the flag or try to get away from spawn, then it'll get a higher score. And anyways, those are the categories. So I'll be making videos pretty soon about each of the maps. I'll be going over in detail, and I'm going to do this for both the MCCentral maps and the Wizecraft maps. But I do need to play the Wizecraft maps a little bit more before I have a solid opinion on them. I can do a few of them now, but I mean for the most part, there are a lot of those maps that I just haven't played enough to develop a strong opinion. Anyway, so I hope you guys enjoy this series, and let me know if you have any suggestions or edits to the scoring system you might think might be a good idea. If you think the points themselves are good, if you think another category is really important, let me know and I'll consider it. I'll talk to other people. But anyways, yeah, just I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you for watching.